Sorry, this selfie is really helpful to check out your beard. Morning, hi everybody. Lesson 3, how to build a rule of life. So today is exciting because we're starting to learn and prepare in how to write your rule of life. Remember, we're all doing our own rules of life here. Hopefully the ones that all follow Jesus and makes him greater and more lovely than he already is in our lives. When we encounter difficult or unexpected situation, we often find ourselves problem solving instead of purpose finding. I read the story of a dad introducing the idea of making a self or a life statement to his daughter, who was in a moment like that. The father explained that it is a short document in which I will try to capture the essence of who I am and what my purpose in life is, to his daughter. You can have an actual document that does that? His daughter asked him. The father said, "Let me show you my life statement." He recounts what happened next. She followed me into the study. I reached into a file, pulled out a sheet of paper and handed it to her. She read the document carefully and then looked up. She asked, when you feel bad, you read this and it makes you feel better? No, when I feel really bad, I take my life statement out, read it carefully and try to rewrite any part of it that I feel needs revision. Or I add something that was not there before. The document is always evolving. When I finish writing it, I feel clearer about who I am. She spent the weekend writing her first draft of her own statement. By the time she returned home, she felt happier, more confident, and ready to move forward. Building your rule of life. We need clarity about what matters most and what we need to do to keep our focus on our greatest priorities. Shari's father calls this a life statement. I prefer to call it a rule of life. A rule of life is a set of rhythms, practices, and relationships that allow you to live well, become more like Jesus, and experience God in everyday life. It clarifies what matters most and helps you become more intentional and less reactive to how you live your life. Building a rule of life is highly personal. It involves thinking carefully about the practices and rhythms that work best for you personally. Your rule of life will have some similarities to others, but it will also be very unique to you. You can benefit immediately from writing the rule of life because it helps to clarify what matters most to you. But it's also a living thing, a living document that may change over time. The benefits will increase as you update it and as you gain clarity or face different demands. It's best to start simple and just get going. Shrink the challenge, remember? Don't expect to write a masterpiece. Jot a few thoughts or sentences down and return to it later. Maybe I would suggest you do this over a weekend where you start just on the Saturday morning after breakfast or over coffee and you start jotting down, and as the weekend goes you kind of work at it. How to write a rule of life. Firstly, develop a rule of life doesn't have to be complicated. My most important counsel is to start small and simply, advises Ken Shigematsu, obviously the author of this. He suggests that you start with one practice at a time. Begin with a practice that connects you to God. When you're ready, he says, add a practice that brings refreshment, followed by another practice and connects you to others. So you add a practice. You start with connecting to God, then something that refreshes you, something that adds and connects you to other people and other relationships through service, and also ways in which you serve others. A sustainable rule of life will be built slowly, tested, and regularly revised, he writes. It must honor our personality, design, and stage of life. We don't exist for the rule exists for us. Here are 3 simple steps you can take in building a rule of life. Step number one, list your categories. Keep it simple. What are the main areas of your life? Examples: spiritual, physical, relational, vocational. Although it's helpful to think in these categories, they are all interrelated and interdependent. As you work on each category, think also of the whole of your life. Secondly, pick one category and think one practice that will help you thrive in this area. Focus on the practice that will help you become aware of God's presence and love and provides for His greatness and nourishment, refreshment and renewal, and help you love others. What's the practice? Why is it important? And then thirdly, think about what works for you. How often will you do this practice? What is realistic to you? When will you do it? How will you do it? How can you create new habits, and how can you sustain it? And how can you confidently grow and consistently in these new habits? That's it. Start small. And often I think Kobe speaks about doing the different roles that we have. So maybe you're going to, this week or weekend, you'll look at the different roles. So I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I am a church leader, I am a friend, etc. And maybe those roles would be helpful for you to engage and go, what are my practices in these different roles? And what to do today. Set a timer for 10 minutes and go through one step described above. And at the end of the 10 minutes, continue if you'd like, or stop. No pressure. You can just return later to this. Warning. Some people get very stuck here. Treat this as a messy first draft. Keep it short as you like. Don't worry about getting it perfect. Just try and get it started. Remember, this is just a practice. This is something we're trying to do that will help us have clarity as to who we are and what we're called to and the different roles that God's called us to this week. Have fun doing your rules of life. Let me just go through the 3 steps again. List your categories or your roles. Pick one to work on maybe and just start from there. And also think about what works for you, what's going to be realistic and goal setting and those things. Those are the 3 big ones. Go for it. And it's private, it's personal, but it's amazing how these things do help us focus and understand why we are, who we are, and what God has called us to. Have an amazing, what will be tomorrow? Wednesday. Wednesday, I hope it's not raining. We want to play touch rugby tonight. Cheers, guys. Have a great day.